So let's welcome our next speakers who will deliver this session. That is Ms. Sidra Niaz. And along with Ms. Sidra Niaz, Sir Tahir Javed will also join. You have attended his session, very insightful session. And he is going to conduct with Ms. Sidra Niaz. Let me introduce Ms. Sidra Niaz. She is the Chief Executive Officer at Evolution. Currently, she is heading the Open Program for Pakistan, sponsored by the US Embassy Islamabad, that provides professional development opportunities to English language professionals from all across Pakistan. So please, Ms. Sidra, deliver your talk on leading the language classroom, and Sir Javed, you are also requested to assist her.
Thank you so much, Kiran, for providing the introduction, and thank you so much, Nurul Huda Foundation, Ms. Rafia Mudassir, for arranging this wonderful, 3 days full packed conference for teachers who are aspiring to be leaders or who are already leaders and would like to improve their skills, because professional development never stops, no matter which point of success you achieve in your careers. So thank you so much, the entire team, for arranging such a wonderful conference. I have with me Tahir Javed Sahab. Most of you must have attended his session just before the lunch break, where his inspiring talks took us over the journey of how you can be a teacher leader in your communities. So I've been attending, quite a few sessions since yesterday, along with all the participants, and I could see a lot has already been, inculcated in the conference about being teacher leaders. So based on your learning of yesterday and today, I would want to, begin this session with a short Q&A, where the participants will use the chat box to respond, while I'm going to share my screen and have a little activity for you. If you can give me a heads up in the chat box that you can see my screen where we have a word wall activity.
Yes, Ms. Sidra, we can see your screen.
Thank you so much for the confirmation. So here I'm going to run the wheel. There are quite a few questions that we have developed for you. This will actually let us know कि day दिन में आपकी जो learning है through different speakers, by the inspirational, international and national level speakers, how much have you so far gained, and what are you aiming to have a way forward in developing yourself as a teacher or improving your leadership skills as a teacher? So I'll start with spinning the wheel, and wherever whichever questions it poses, that is the question where you will have to respond by using the chat box. So I would request everybody to be active. The more responses we have, the more engaging this conference and this session is going to be. So let me start from here. So the first question is, what steps will need to be taken to be a teacher leader? Going back to what Sir Tahir was telling you, different steps of how you can be a teacher leader, I was following the chat and we could already see so many teachers who are doing wonderful work in their communities. So based on your experience and based on what you have learned in the past in the conference so far, what do you think are some of the steps that are needed for the teachers to be leaders in their communities? You don't have to write comprehensive responses in the chat box, but maybe a liner. Let's say one example would be an avid reader, or one example would be, lead from the front. Inspirational. So Munib says inspirational. Yes, this is very important for the teachers to show to the students that they are role models for them. Because as a teacher, I have come across some teachers. I'm sure we are wonderful teachers here. We put our best in our profession, but we do find some teachers who are doing it just as a lethargic job, going to school 8 a.m. in the morning, coming back at 2 p.m. And these days it's work from home, for example. So it's just because they're doing a job, but they're not as inspiring teachers. So first thing is you have to be inspirational. Noor Fatma says you should have strong communication skills. Very well said. Sada says also acknowledges that you should have good communication, compassion. Yes, very important. Compassion to your students, compassion towards your school, compassion towards your entire profession is what makes you a teacher leader. Self-realization and role model, mentorship, being visionary, finding a vision. Perfect. So these are some excellent responses coming in. It shows that how fruitful the conference has been so far, and you have already gained so much insight about how you can be a teacher in your own community. Let's move further to the next question. The next question, a very pertinent question that comes your way, is what qualities and resources are required? Now, we have been talking about how you should be inspirational, how you should have good communication skills, how you should be a visionary teacher. But what are some of the resources, or what are some of the qualities that you should have to be a good communicator, or someone who would be inspirational, someone who would be a role model? So what do you think about this question coming your way? Sense of responsibility and love for teaching. Yes, Amara, definitely. But for example, if I do not have that, how can I develop it? What are some of the resources that are needed? What is some of the support from the community that I need to be able to motivate others to have a growth mindset? Excellent. To be confident. Yes, this is something very important. If you still do not have this innate quality of being confident, please develop that. As a teacher, you should be confident enough to ensure that whatever subject content you are teaching to the students, you have complete command over it. You are well versed with the content. You are well prepared to lead from the front. Excellent. Moving forward, maybe I will take 2 more questions and then we'll proceed. This was one of my favorite questions when I was developing this wheel. As a teacher leader, would you rather have the power or would you rather have the influence? What would you prefer and why? Asra says influence, Sahar says influence, quite a few people are saying influence. And maybe in a short liner, if you can let me know, why do you think? Hadika says because influence is long lasting. Yes. Amara says definitely influence, because influence goes a long way in inspiring the students further. Mudassir says influence with power. That is a very good phrase that you can use, that you influence the students with the charisma that you carry along, with the power that you have. Asra says it creates lasting impression. Definitely, I agree to you. Most of the people are saying obviously influence. I'm so glad to know that you all believe, or most of you who are commenting there, maybe there are some people who are yet not commenting. I would request all of you to be active, because it's a two-way engagement. It helps us as presenters to connect with the audience as well. Moving forward to one last question, and then we can begin after this brainstorming activity. All right. So what does it mean to be a teacher leader? You all are teachers. We all are teachers. What makes a teacher leader different than an ordinary teacher? Or what are some of the aspects that make you a teacher leader and makes you different from a teacher that may have that a school may have 500 teachers, but how many teacher leaders does the school have? So Dure Zainab says a change agent. Yes, I will share one of my examples here with you. I've been taught in one of the leading schools of Pakistan. I did my O levels, A levels from the same school from nursery. And then I got an opportunity to teach in the same school. I was lucky enough to do that. And when I was the teacher, I found out there were a few teachers who were my teachers as well. And then I was, co-teaching with them. We were colleagues then, from student to the colleague journey. However, what I noticed was the teachers who taught me 15 years back, 18 years back, they were using the same methods, the same curriculum, exactly the same way in which they taught me 15 years back. They were teaching in the same way when I went to the same school and taught with them. And it made me realize that, where is growth? Where is the growth mindset? Where is the change that is needed? Because in the 21st century, we have, change happen every second. Right now, in the pandemic world, we have a tool being introduced to teachers every minute in the world. Every minute we have a new tool in the market that we can utilize in our online teaching and learning to make it more interactive. So if, for example, you as a teacher, you do not believe in change and bringing a change in the entire system, we are not talking about one individual, but we are also talking about us as a teacher community of Pakistan. How strong we are, how much open we are to change. The teachers who were a bit rigid, who did not believe in a lot of profession development, and wo wala so they were the one who got impacted the most when the pandemic hit us last year, because they did not know how to be flexible or how to adapt to change, how to learn new ideas, how to implement new ideas. And quick learners, the people who were doing some online profession development, who were doing online courses, they knew the educational technological tools, and they quickly adapted to the change. I do understand there were challenges on both ends. However, it was a lot easier for the teachers to shift from face to face to online if they had somewhat ability to adapt to change, to be flexible, to learn. So here I would invite Sir Tahir. Sir, based on the discussion that we have had in the past 10 minutes, what sense do you have for the teachers? What inspirational examples would you want to bring from the 30 plus experience you have had with schools and basically?
Yeah, so are you going to start with our presentation? Yes, I think the three steps we usually take to address an issue is first, what question? What do you mean by a leader? We did address that in the Urdu session. Nothing wrong in revisiting it. Maybe some new examples come up. To be meaningful and practicable is important. You can do it for all teachers. Leadership should not be associated with any particular position. And as you were responding to Sidra's wheel, I think it was overwhelmingly there's a consensus. We don't want power, but we want influence. And if you had attended Purin's session yesterday he was from Canada, and he did mention one of the things that a leader does is to have influence. Very, very small, maybe not a big word, but a very powerful word, to have influence. So should not be associated with any notions of power or authority. And as Cory Booker said, leadership is not a position or a title. It is action and example. So I won't belabor this point, and let's move to the next slide. Now, so instead of subscribing to traditional of leadership as higher or superior positions within the organizational hierarchy, teachers should view leadership as an orientation, and you change your direction, you change your vision and perspective, and a commitment. It's very important, the word commitment. I've seen so many people having maybe the desire, maybe the orientation is there, but the commitment is lacking. So to have only desire but no commitment is not going to take you anywhere, believe me. So commitment is very important, which means you're prepared to invest yourself physically, intellectually, emotionally, and even financially towards achieving that goal. So a commitment to, number one, a continuous pursuit of excellence. The word continuous is important. It's not periodic, one-off. It's going to be a continuous pursuit of excellence through multiple modes of learning and growth. This pursuit of excellence reminds me of a book by, I think, Tom Peters and a colleague. It's In Search of Excellence. So the pursuit of excellence is a continuous lifelong process and comes through multiple modes. As we'll discuss later, what are the possible modes or multiple modes of learning and growth? And two, a continuous improvement of education services offered by the teacher and the school they're working for. So we're not looking at our own learning and growth. We're also looking at the quality of the services that are provided through ourselves and through the whole school. Again, when we are leader, then we are looking at the whole school, not only my classroom. Fine, let's move to the next one. Now, again, what do you mean by teachers leaders? If we carefully observe what the teachers do day in, day out, we realize that they are actually leaders all day. Unfortunately, they don't realize they're leaders. That's, I think, the sad part. They lead by example in the way they act, they speak and behave. Students are absorbing, internalizing all those things that a teacher does with them or in front of them. Teachers mentor, they guide, they coach, they counsel, and they console their students. These are all what leaders do, So what the teacher is doing, teacher does not even know that she's doing that. Okay. Now the next big question is, why should a teacher aspire to be a leader? Isn't it all right? Just keep on teaching and life is fine. Is it a beneficial for the teacher or for the school or both? So these are the questions we're going to pursue in the next few minutes. So why should a teacher be a leader? As noted earlier, teachers fulfill many roles in today's world. And one of the most important is the role of a leader. Teacher leadership occurs every day in the classroom and provides an environment that enriches the lives of not only the students, but all of the professionals with whom they come into contact. It's just a matter of realizing that's the potential of our own actions every day. And that's what leadership is all about. Next, we move to the next one. Now, in order to really do justice to their teaching role, teachers need to extend the sphere of their influence beyond the classroom. So that's very important. If we don't make the teacher realize this, they're going to spend their entire lives just focusing on the classroom. So one of the things that teachers need to do is extend the sphere of influence beyond the classroom and into the school-wide and even community-wide leadership activities. As I gave an example in the early session, two laborers are working on construction site and they're doing the same activity. They're just putting together a wall with the help of bricks. And one, when asked what he's doing, he says, well, I'm just putting up a wall. And the other laborer doing the same thing says, well, we are putting up a library. So both are doing the same action, but they have two different visions. So this is very, very important. Teachers should really understand the potential of what they're doing. All right, so let's see. Now this thing, the advocacy for teacher leadership has actually emerged not too long ago. For a long, long time, everyone associated with the school for teachers have enough on their plates as teachers. And so they should just concentrate on doing the teaching job. Leaders are some special people, maybe, and teachers should not worry about that. But now there is understanding that teachers, because they are daily contextual learners, are in the best position to make critical decisions about curriculum and instruction and many other areas about assessment. And so they are in the better able to implement changes in a comprehensive and continuous manner. So it's very important the school leaders, school authorities, when they are thinking of planning a change, implementing a change, teachers should have a very important and a central role in that plan. Okay. To conclude, the rationale, why should teachers be leaders? By understanding and adopting a leadership role, teachers would be the first to benefit from the reconceptualization. This is the key word, to reconceptualize the role, to re-examine the role, and to look at their job from a very different perspective. Not just teachers, but our teachers plus as leaders. So they would be more highly motivated towards achieving excellence in teaching and learning once they know their role is far bigger than they have been thinking so far. So the chances are they'll be more highly motivated towards achieving excellence in teaching and learning. Otherwise, teachers day in, day out develop narrow scope of what they're doing. They have narrow vision. They don't have much, I think, ambition. And at the best, they think of their promotion to the next level on the career ladder. So from teacher, they may become a coordinator or senior mistress or a lead teacher, and maybe the peak or the apex of their career ladder will be to become the principal someday. So this shift changes from that kind of thinking to, I would say, horizontal growth within the role as a teacher. They can be great leaders. So it will have impact on the teaching and learning, and obviously this will have an impact on the students' learning and school-parent relationship. So it's a win-win situation for all. So it's so crucial that teachers start thinking of themselves as leaders. Now the next logical question is, especially now we are shifting the focusing, we're zooming on English teachers as leaders. So one very, I think, obvious directive is, if you want to be a leader, you should lead from the front and be a model of various skills and habits and practices that you wish to see in your students. So modeling is important. You cannot just be giving a pep talk day in, day out. So you should walk the talk. The students should see their English teachers as one excellent model of spoken English, who are fluent, possess a wide range of vocabulary and grammar, and use appropriately and effectively, and display proper intonation and pronunciation. These are some of the core qualities of spoken language. So if you are English teachers, we should be aspiring for the best possible. I mean, if you're thinking of an IELTS band, should be, I think, at least a band 8. If you're not band 8, then maybe you should try to be. So students deserve the best you can offer. And you have to realize, it's very important, it's not enough to be good enough. Mostly we settle for being good enough. No one is complaining. It's okay. But once we put ourselves on a critical, I think, exercise, and we really ask ourselves, where am I on the level of English speaking? And we should be, I think, about 8 out of 9, and level 8 band. And these are the 4 qualities that the IELTS statistics looks at: is your fluency and your range of vocabulary used meaningfully and purposefully and accurately. And same things goes for grammar. We should have a wide range of grammar used effortlessly, without even realizing we are any particular form of grammar. We should have a wide range of grammar, not a limited range. And then lastly, your own pronunciation, intonation. So these are the models of spoken English students will be receiving from your everyday class. And once the students have a model teacher who's modeling good spoken English, there's a lot of learning coming their way. Because without realizing that that's happening, students actually internalize a lot of teachers' habits of speech. I recall myself personally, when I was in maybe grade 5 and I went to a new school, and one day at home, pencil slipped out of my hand or something dropped, and I uttered unconsciously, I said, oops. So I was the youngest in the family, and my elder brother and sister, they were surprised. They said, hey, where did you pick that oops? And I honestly, I didn't know. Then I thought, and then I realized one of our English teachers She uses this expression, oops, whenever the duster drops or something else drops. So this is an example of how a lot of unconscious learning takes place. The teacher is presenting a good model of spoken English. Very, very important. So we should be presenting the best model. And let me remind you, even a band 9 on IELTS is not the highest you can get. You can go far beyond band 9. So there's a lot of learning that even I try to improve my English. Believe me, every day I try to expand my vocabulary, extend my maybe some intonation issues or pronunciation issues. And that's the spirit we have. We keep learning all the time. We have two models of spoken English. Next, I think it's obvious that we go to another skill of a spoken English. We should be looking at the reading. Yeah. So,
Sir, here I would like to add my sense. I totally agree with what you have said, that I also remember my teachers. There were some of them who were role models, and I still remember them, how they carried themselves, how I saw them reading all the time. I saw them, fluent in their respective subjects. I still remember them. And the teachers who did not, make their impact, I do remember them, but not in a very clear and vivid way. So here, as a teacher, as we have been discussing about you improving your skills, and you continue to do that, I would like to explore one of the tools here that I find it very interesting, and I'm not sure how many of you already know about it. It's Youglish. Here, the simple is youglish.com. You just have to type it on your browser and you're going to land on the space. Now, when we're talking about improvement of your own skills, if you're actually talking about English skills, this is an excellent tool that you can use to enhance your own pronunciation and intonation, and also get some examples of how you can use a few words and phrases into context. Here, I would like to show you an example. For instance, let's say I want to use the word essential, but I want to see in what different ways it is used by speakers of English. So I'll write essentials, search it, and here I have a lot of different videos where the word essentials is used in real context. Let me show you 4 or 5 examples. Let's see the first one.
The former is a natural, essential part of life, part of the deal. And to this we are called to make space.
That's why it was essential for our economy, our security, and our planet that we finally tackle this challenge. The Kingdom's leadership on the world stage is essential. We are grateful for the UK's indispensable role in
sounds would be essential in enabling him to do so. At the time, all weapons were made by hand.
And in a real, actual army, both the soldier and the scout are essential. But you can also think of each of these roles as
so my idea of showing this tool to you is, at times we as English language teachers, we fall short of words. We do not remember a few phrases. We do not understand, or it helps us to explore what are some of the different ways in which this particular word can be used. So this website can actually help you understand through real life examples of speakers of English to understand how certain words, you can also write some phrases and see how those phrases are being used by the speakers. Just wanted to know in the chat box if you could understand this tool, or you would want me to give you another example of how you can use it. If you want to propose a word, let's explore this word and see how it is used in our in the context of speakers. Yes, this is actually a thesaurus, but a virtual thesaurus where you can actually see the real-time speakers using this word that you are searching in real context in their speeches, and these are world leaders that present mostly native speakers of English language. Moving forward to our presentation,
Okay,
sir,
I
if
think,
you would like to, yeah.
yeah, carry on, Sidra. You were saying something?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
referring it to you if you want to continue from here, and then
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
add in the
So
end. Yeah.
we have discussed the skills that we desire our students to develop and grow in. There's no shortcut. We have to be presenting ourselves as a model of all those skills: speaking, listening, reading, writing, and body language, and everything. So reading is very, very important. And one of the, I think, teachers really, I'm sorry to say, don't give it due importance. So we just don't have to be readers, we have to be passionate readers. And passion is very, very important in our personal lives, in our social lives, and in our professional lives. We'll be just digressing a bit. Usually I tell teachers to have passion about their role as a teacher, about passion about learning, passion about the subject they teach, and passion for the students they teach. So these are the four passions a teacher should have, apart from being a reader. So you have to be passionate, not just keep on doing it, not just liking. Liking is a weak word, not loving, but being passionate is a very, very strong word. So passionate readers who enjoy reading a wide range. Range is important. If you're reading only a particular kind of things, only sports magazines, maybe, or only entertainment literature, so that's not a range. So you have to have let's say, balanced diet, where you have the different genre of prose and poetry and fiction, information. So the passion, enthusiasm as readers should be visible. It should be visible for the students. They should be seeing. They should observe, noting the passion of teacher for reading. And the teacher has books on her desk in the office. She's carrying books in her bag, and she's talking about books, and she's reading children's literature. And so that kind of passion that is visible, strong, and contagious. So once teachers who have that kind of passion, it gets contagious. Students also catch on. And now there's a survey that Sridhar is doing. So maybe you can respond to that survey in the chat box. Is that right, Sidra?
Yes, sir, that's right. So we just want to ask you, how much time do you usually spend on reading? Let's say we want to look at 10 days from now, the past 10 days. Was it less than an hour, 2 to 3 hours, 4 to 5 hours, or 5+ hours? And here I would like to tell you, this is not the reading that you do while you receive a text message, or that you do while listening to news on TV, or commuting from one place to another and seeing the billboards. But this is actually the reading that you do for your own professional development or personal growth. So we can see some comments coming in. Mohammed Mubin and Sadaf says 4 to 5 hours. Kashifa says 5+ hours. Sahar says 1 hour. Bakhtaur says 2 to 3 hours. Noor Fatima says less than an hour. And proper book reading is 1 hour. Sahar says. Amara 2 to 3, 2 hours, 5 hours. Okay, so we have a mixed group here, and that's all right for you to have less than an hour or more than 5 hours. However, here I would like to throw a question to Sir Tahir based on his experience, and also I've seen he is an avid reader. He has been working with me since a long time, but since the past year I've got an opportunity to work with him very closely. And in this year, he has actually given me so many books and the reading material catering to different genres that I have developed my skills as a reader with his presence in our office. So, sir, if 2 or 3 tips would you like to give to the teachers who would like to become avid readers, and right now maybe they fall under the category of A and B in the poll?
I wish I could give some useful tips, But changing habits is not really something that can be changed by just following a tip. Habits are very difficult to change and very difficult to acquire and develop. But yes, okay, so there's nothing, you have to believe that the power of reading. So first you have to be a great believer that you cannot be a leader without being a reader. Readers are leaders in the real sense. So there's no shortcut. And you have to resolve yourself and start maybe small, maybe things that you really like. If you're into cooking, read a lot of literature on cooking, but expand it a bit towards reading the literature on nutrition and diets. And here, when I say literature, it does not really mean books only. Myself have been using extensively the internet sources, and that I would count that in the list of reading. There's a lot of reading nowadays that is available online. So use your online habits positively instead of spending a lot of hours on just chatting and social talking. Change that, give it a fillip towards a more purposeful reading that can change your life and your outlook on life. So believe in the power of reading. Start with the things that you are interested in. I'm sure everyone has a field of interest. If you're into sports, a lot of reading comes through sports. I follow cricket and Olympics and whatever sports is there. Useful vocabulary of sports comes through that reading. Maybe if you don't know much about tennis, you won't know what love means in tennis. How many of you know love in tennis? When the commentator says 15 love, we know 15, but what is love? Now, that's the question that people can respond to. I will just keep it in the parking, and let's say I come back to. So what does love mean in tennis when the commentator says the score is 15 love or 13 love? Okay, so if you follow tennis, you will know what ace means, what deuce means, and what overhead smash means. And I am not a tennis player, but I do follow sports. And likewise, if you don't play golf, but you know what golf is, then you will have a lot of vocabulary about golf. So read, here I would say read everything that comes your way. Everything, anything. Even when you're traveling in a car and you're not driving, so you can read what the signboard says. A lot of knowledge comes from those signboards. So very, very important to develop. So since I'm not sure if you have responded to my question about love, in tennis, love, of course, practically we know it means zero. But why they say love? By reading a bit more and exploring, you will find out from a good dictionary, but love is actually a French word, which means love. Love means the egg. So the love is actually the egg. And it became love in English. And as someone said, ironically, don't fall into love with a tennis player, because in tennis, love means nothing. So that was a bit of humor. So tips for becoming a reader is start reading. So that's the first, start reading. And then read widely, extensively. Start with you already have interest in cooking or sports or gardening or everything, lighting, you find literature, religion, you find literature. So I won't give you more tips than that. You have to start reading and then keep looking to expand the horizon of your reading. And then one tip I would give to whoever is reading, share your reading with your colleagues or people at home. So just don't keep reading in silence, in isolation. Make it a social experience. And you share, oh, hey, listen, I read this. Did you hear about this? And then once you start sharing your reading, whatever reading you have done becomes much more polished by sharing, because when you share something, the other person will ask you some questions. And in the process of responding to those questions, your own knowledge of that subject will become much more polished and solidified by responding to the questions of the people you're sharing with. So read a lot, read what you like, and share your reading. And I'm sure, inshallah, you will become readers. So we have the teachers who are modeling speaking, teachers who are modeling reading, and model reading in front of your students, share your reading with the students, ask students to share the reading with you, and take interest in what they're reading. You may give certain tips. Hey, why you seem to be reading this writer's books. I have some more books of this writer. Even be generous and start sharing your own resources. And don't worry about students not returning. You will never be disappointed. Students do take care of returning the books you give them to share. Thirdly is the writers. So again, you have to start looking at your own writing. And in my experience, it is not a strength of most of the teachers. It's a rather weak area where they need to develop a lot. So you have to again start writing, develop writing, not just the chatting on your mobile phone, but even in the mobile phone. I don't know about others, but when I write something on a little bit serious topic on my WhatsApp groups of teachers, I try to use that opportunity to write, not in shortcuts, but express myself in full phrases and express my thoughts in a more serious manner. So as we all should know, and we all know that communication, there are two, I think, wheels. If you can imagine a bike, and both wheels are important. So to be able to write or speak effectively, you have to have a quality of thoughts, a flow of thoughts. So thoughts should be flowing. And that's also a habit, thinking about things that you do, thinking about your job as a teacher, thinking about issues. So you have to engage yourself in thoughts. So the flow of thoughts has to be there. But if you have flow of thoughts without the support of language to express those thoughts, again, you're going to get stuck. So there should be flow of thoughts, quality of thoughts, and then those thoughts should be shared with quality of language, powerful language, with the right word at the right time. And so these two have to be taken care of. So many teachers and many people, they are not very articulate in most of the issues because they don't think about the issues. And so they have lack of thoughts. And lack of thoughts and a lot of words don't take you far. Conversely, lot of thoughts, but lack of language doesn't take you too far. So both have to be strong equally, I would say. Your thoughts are flowing, your thoughts are of engaging quality, and your language is also of engaging quality. And then you are a good speaker, a powerful speaker, and same goes for writing. So whatever opportunity you get to write, even on a chalkboard, you should be writing well. When you're writing comments on the students' notebooks, you should write well. The comments should be meaningful, purposeful, tactful, and these are things you should not be underestimating the value of writing comments in a nice way. Sidra, anything you would like to add on writing?
Yes, yes, sir. Sure, sir. Here I would like to, there's this question on the board, and I could see a few people commenting in the chat box. Yes, I've shared our writing piece with your students. So, this is how you model yourself. This is how you show the students that you also have the love for being a writer. You are also a writer who writes their own pieces and share it with the students. And it helps the students to develop this habit as well. We as teachers, I've seen, we expect a lot of the things from the students. However, if we are told to do those, activities or those pieces, we fail to do that. I remember, I was conducting a training where there was a group of teachers rather, and they gave composition questions to the students. I mean, the topics, and write a composition on, let's say, a world affairs or current affairs or XYZ. And then in that training, I told the teachers, why don't you write a piece for us, and we can see which one shines out. And believe me, the students could have developed better material, better essays than what the teachers came up with. So as teachers, if we cannot produce the language, if as teachers we cannot write, how can we expect and how can we mark our students on the same criteria? As English language teachers, we should be fluent in the language so that we can effectively teach our students. However, I won't generalize it, but when we conduct trainings for teachers, we see, oh my God, the students would have developed better activities. They would have answered this question in a far better way than the group of teachers are doing. So there's a major flaw in how we perceive ourselves as teachers. This is not just a 9 to 5 job or a 9 to 2 job that we are doing. We are actually shaping the future of our country. We are the driving force. We are the change agents. The entire education community in the entire world is actually shaping the future. And if we as teachers, we take this just as a job with no compassion, with no inspiration, with no enthusiasm, then how can we expect our students to show some interest in the learning? Since the past, let's say 1.5 years, there's a huge debate which keeps on happening that there's a blame game that the teachers or the schools are not providing the learning that is needed, or the students are not interested. Whenever there's a pandemic and the exams are coming forward, there's a trend on Twitter कि exams बंद करो, बच्चों का ख्याल नहीं है, बच्चों की सेहत का ख्याल नहीं है. And then on the other side, I do see teachers struggling, and there are so many, they're working on their best capabilities to learn new tools to offer the best experience to the students online. However, as teachers, we need to understand that we have to lead from the front by being role models. If we are giving a letter writing activity to the students, have we written that? Have we shared our piece with the students? So how about you model it? You first say, hey students, this is what I wrote. Now let's see what you have got from your perspective. So why don't you model the activities that you would want to inculcate in your students? If you want them to be good speakers, be a good model of a good English language speaker. Also over here, I would like to identify one of the major things is there is no harm in saying to your students, I'm sorry, I do not know the name or the meaning of this word. Let's look up in the dictionary. I've observed so many classes in the school, and when when a student comes up with a vocabulary question or anything to a teacher, the teachers, if they do not know it, they panic. There is no harm. There's no rule that the teacher knows everything about that particular subject. No, there is so much learning, but that's an opportunity for you to role model in front of your in front of your students, that it's okay not to know. But we always have resources to look up for. We live in the world of the 21st century. We are just away from a dictionary from our mobile phones. We have Google to search for any news or anything that we would want to know about. So inculcate these habits in your classrooms as well. If you do not know anything, tell the students, let's search. I don't even know. I'm also curious to know about this question. That's a very good question that you asked. So that's how you inculcate a learning environment within your classroom, rather than taking the students as receivers and you are just giving them the information that they are understanding, they're not understanding, and it goes on and on in the same way. So we need to revive our entire process of how we take teachers in the community as community builders, as leaders. Moving forward.
Yeah, I was very pleased with the teachers, number of teachers saying yes, they do share their writing. So maybe we have a maybe unrepresentative sample here. We have about 100 teachers, and a lot of them say they share the writing. So that's the thing to do. But the majority of the schools that I've worked, I've very rarely seen teachers writing, first of all. And then if they're writing, they're not sharing with the students. So but that's the name of the game. we have to modeling good speaking, good reading, good writing, and there's no shortcut. Let's move on, Siddharth, to the next one. So yes, you have to model positive attitudes and behavior as learners. So you have to model learning habits and behaviors. So you're always interested, involved in expanding your own knowledge and skills related to English language, but related to in general. You have to expanding your knowledge in different directions. And we teachers seen are attending workshops, webinars, conferences, courses, and they read professional ELT journals and books and search for ideas, innovations on the internet. So read extensively. All right, I think we're close to
Here,
coming towards
sir,
the-
I would like, yeah, we are here. I would like to, highlight one thing is we do often see or observe in our community that some of the teachers do approach us saying, I will not attend this particular workshop that your organization is offering, but I am willing to pay full. Can I get a certificate? We need to come out of this mindset of running after degrees and certificates. We need to have thirst for learning, for improvement ourselves, rather than filling our CVs with all the certifications that we have got in our profile. But how about its implementation? How are you taking the learning from the courses and the degrees that you have and bringing improvement to your growth, bringing improvement to your profession development? So we need to understand that at times, even if you do not get a certificate, but what matters is the learning. What matters is how you are becoming a better teacher each day. It's about how you're reflecting on your own teaching practices. That helps a lot. Here, I would like to, on the same note, when we talk about courses and certifications, there is also one thing that we hear a lot in our community, that we can't afford profession development. We can't afford to pay, as at Evolution, we have courses and one-day workshops at as low as that 600 rupees. And we have teachers coming up with, we can't afford it, and we are happy to, give them these scholarships. However, in the world of internet, we have so many online free of cost profession development opportunities that we can take advantage of. So if, for example, you have crisis where you cannot afford professional development, go for free courses. This is one website, openenglishprograms.com. This is the program that we host from Evolution for the US Department of State. They have free of cost online courses offered by American universities. TESOL methodology is one of them, which is ending this in the next month. A STEM, very popular, teaching and learning that is getting very popular these days. Professional development for teacher trainers. This one, using education technology in English language classrooms. If you are a teacher who is facing difficulty in using, resources in your classrooms, do this course. This is a self-paced course. In the end, you do get a certificate. It's free of cost, and you get to learn so many digital tools that you can, implement in your classroom. Apart from that, I also want to share this link that I've pasted both the links in the chat box. The Harvard University, most famous. Everybody wants to go to Harvard. Right now, Harvard University is offering free of cost courses online. Introduction to Family Engagement in Education, like the first one you can say. Why not go for free of cost online development when you can? It's just, you have to have a mindset. It's just, you have to create your path towards professional development and stop looking for certification and degrees. It's what you are learning, and then how you are learning those skills in your, how you're learning, disseminating the learning in your classrooms, how you are sharing the learning with your colleagues. We as teachers, we have a huge, responsibility of sharing and uplifting the entire community. So as teachers, we need to understand the fact, as much as we want our own classroom to excel, we want all the classrooms of the entire school to do well, because we are the ones who are responsible for each and every child in our school. So if you have learned a new skill, share it with your colleagues. That's how you mentor. That's how you be a leader. Being a leader means sharing. Being a leader means leading from the front and not having a fear of, oh, this colleague is going to excel in life, and I'm going to stay as a teacher. That's not a leader. Leader empowers. Leader believes in the team. Leader believes in sharing, and that is exactly what we expect all of you to do. So with that, I think we are going to ask you if you have any questions. I'll quickly go through the chat box and see if there were any pertinent questions that we need to answer. And so one question is, my question is, teachers are also learners, and learning methodologies may vary in adults too, like in children. Like some learns by reading, while some are good listeners. So does it matter if a teacher is not a reader but prefers to listen?
I would like to say you have to be like to go multimodal. Come whatever way, read, listen. But why restrict yourself only to listening? We are using all the 4 skills of students. We expect them to be good listeners, good readers, good writers. So yes, you're talking about learning styles, but individually, that learning style thing a teacher should know. As an individual learner, I have to take all the routes that are possible. Even I would include dreaming about learning. So speak, listen, read, write, and dream, and think about learning. One of the things I'd like to quote Stephen Hawking is, one of the greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It's the illusion of knowledge. So one of the blocks to learning and change is the illusion that I know enough. I got 20 years of experience of teaching. I got this gold medal. I got so many certificates. So we have to get rid of those illusions and be a learner throughout your life, all the time, every moment, every day, every week. We are learning from all the sources. As Allah Ta'ala in the Quran says, learn from the ayat of the nature, and we are surrounded by the ayat of nature. I think we are coming towards an end, Sidran. If you can just slip in the poem, if possible.
Yes, sir. We would want to end with a poem. So I'll just go to the presentation again. And if you would want to, this one.
Yeah, I came across that poem when I was teaching at Ahmed University ID. And someone shared that with me, one of the students of Ahmed from Kenya. And I love that poem. I just copied it at that time and then I put it here. I don't know the poet, but the words are powerful. Just to read it. Today I was a nurse binding a hurt with a white bandage of compassion. I won't read the whole poem, just a few lines. A doctor healing a small broken world, a surgeon suturing a friendship together. Today I was an alchemist seeking gold in base metals, a scientist answering endless whys, a philosopher pondering elusive truths. I moved towards the end. So today I was a philanthropist sharing the might of the past, a mother wholly giving love, a humble follower of truth. Mine are such varied occupations. How can they know me? Just a teacher. So teacher has an amazing range of roles to play, and we should be proud of being a teacher. We should not be defensive. We should be proud of being a teacher. We have been given this privilege to be a teacher. And this is how I would like to end. Be proud of your teaching and be a learner all the time.
Exactly. I think the best quality of a teacher is, of a leader, is that they believe in themselves. They believe in what they do. Once they believe in themselves as leaders, they can easily, cascade it, and it's totally contagious for others to get it too. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. It was an honor. Thank you so much, Rural Huda Foundation and Mr. Afia especially for inviting us to conduct this session and to connect with the wonderful audience we have here. There was someone who was asking about a link to the WhatsApp group of Pata Bata, which is the Tanzim for Urdu teachers. So I'm going to post it in the chat box shortly. And you can, using that link, you can join our official WhatsApp group where we do a lot of fun activities on a weekly basis. Thank you everybody for joining us, and have a nice learning experience.